How y'all doing? Greetings from the land of the wicked, huh? I usually don't do too many videos without my partner, JA, but I got some stuff on my mind. I figured, what better time to get it off than now? We live in a world where people feel, I don't know exactly how to describe it. Let's say this. The topic of this video is going to be disinformation. We live in a time where people put out a lot of disinformation, especially on YouTube. Uh, you know, if you didn't know any better, and I showed you this, you would think that this is a cross with a big circle on top, of course. But it's not. I mean, it is a cross, but it's actually an ankh. It's a tool that made kind of famous by Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus. And what I'm saying is that there's a lot of disinformation out there. A lot of disinformation that causes a lot of good information to get a bad rap. Now, of course, we talk about the occult on here. I hide my face because I don't want you to know who I am. Because I don't want you to pollute my life. I will say this. I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for the disinformation. When I first started this path of studying the occult, okay, keep in mind I'm saying studying the occult, about 5 or 6 years ago, I still, even though I was raised Christian and had kind of given up that faith, it still had led me back to it, more studying, because I had started, learning about conspiracy theory. I started learning about uh, just about anything you could think of considering conspiracy. I was watching Alex Jones, if that gives you an idea about how spaced out on conspiracy theory I was. I mean, I couldn't sleep. My ex-wife would get so aggravated with me because I couldn't sleep. I could not. I had to stay up, and I had that phone right next to me, just watching YouTube, learning, taking it all in. Because I had given up on my faith in God. Keep in mind, I've lost over 100 pounds since then. I was real depressed and didn't really do much in any way, in any kind of thing. I had no spirituality whatsoever. I had completely given up on what people call God. And it's coming from somebody that was raised in a Southern Baptist church with very crazy grandparents. A whole family who lived, talking about the next person, but yet still, defended Christ, defended the salvation, the blood of Christ to their death. They're not dead yet, but they will. They will defend Christ to their death. With that being said, except for my father. My father's a Mason. You could learn, you could be astonished by his amazement once I started learning things and asking him questions. And he was like, wow, where are you getting this information from? Anyway, I had given up on God completely. I had denied any creator. I pretty much had taken the position of evolution, everything's by chance, that type of stuff. And then one day, I got to give it to Alex on this one. He got together with I want to say it was public broadcasting or something it was somewhere out of Britain. And these guys actually snuck into Bohemian Grove. Now at the time, Bohemian Grove wasn't very. This is in 2000, right before George W. Bush became president. This is when all the major politics was going on between him and Al Gore, and he was there. Yeah, excuse me. It's hard to breathe under here, and my nose gets to running. Anyway, and they had pretty much known, hey, look, we're going to screw over Al Gore, which I'm not an Al Gore fan. I think he's a lying piece of shit, but I think George Bush is too. So, but I watched this video of Alex Jones sneaking into Bohemian Grove, and I watched these members of the elite political parties, the CEOs of major broadcast corporations like CNN and Fox News, Democrats and Republicans together at this retreat, and they were. I didn't see anybody particular. He was a long distance away from where the ceremony was taking place, and there was a huge Moloch owl. And this Moloch owl, if you're familiar with the Old Testament, Leviticus, even in Judges and so on, this is a deity that people were sacrificing their children to. They were sacrificing their children and throwing them in the flames, and for some freaking reason, I'm not really sure what the reason was back then. I'm sure it's the same reason these fuckers had. But they did a mock sacrifice, pretended to put a baby in a fire and sacrifice it to the Moloch owl, or to Lord Moloch. And there's pews and shit. It's a huge 40-foot stone owl idol that they're in front of, with an altar in front of it. There's people with robes and flames. It's a ceremony. It's a ritual ceremony, And I looked at this and I was like, I had chill bumps. My wife at the time, she couldn't even watch it. It fucked her up so bad she couldn't even watch the shit. And they they did what was called the cremation of care ceremony. It was essentially they're burning away their cares for what they're about to do to the world, or the American people, or the whole world as a whole. And it's burning away any care that they have for what they're about to do. And I thought to myself, it fucked me up. I had a hard time sleeping. And I was like, if if the people who the richest people, the elite, and the people that control the most powerful country in the world are out at a ceremony, performing a ritual to a 40-foot idol, then there has to be something fucking more than evolution and all this other shit. And I wasn't really big on it. I was so depressed and so sickened with myself and my own life that I just denied any creator, any existence of a God, period. So I watched in horror, and I started questioning. I was like, okay, well, there's got to be more. So I looked in and I looked in. I started reading about this guy named John Todd, who disappeared off the face of the earth, who come out in like the early 70s and spoke against the Illuminati. And I don't know if they're real or not. I don't really give a fuck. But at the time I did. At the time I was like just fucking drunk on it. I was drunk on the conspiracy knowledge I was getting from all aspects. It was all coming from YouTube. Now, that's when I started learning. I started learning about symbolism. I started finding the symbolism on TV. Every time a musician come out, I was like, okay, look, whoa, there it is, right there. They're fucking putting some kind of satanic shit on TV right there, blah blah blah. So I get to the point where my friends are like, damn, bro, like, damn, you see it? There was a bunch of damn near naked bitches on some kind of award show. I know it was Trey Songz that was performing. There was these naked bitches everywhere on an upside down cross, and they made an upside down cross out of human women. And all I could think about was the upside down cross with a fucking pyramid behind it. I had no understanding of what the fuck that meant, because you're taught by these cocksuckers that anytime you see a pyramid, it's the devil. It's Christian propaganda. See, the Christians are taught that every time, and this is intentional disinformation put out by the elite, anytime you see a pyramid or an eye or an all-seeing eye, that this represents Satan, Lucifer, and they connect these two. These motherfuckers have no connection whatsoever. I mean, whatsoever. I have done a ritual to Lucifer, and it was beautiful. But Lucifer is just a title of the light bringer. You know who else was a Luciferian man? Issa, Yeshua, El Messiah, or as some people might call him, Jesus Christ, which is a completely made up fucking word. But he was the light bringer. I am the way, the truth, and the light. No one gets to the Father except through me. And Lucifer, he was a Lucifer. The Spirit of Truth was a Luciferian angelic being, apparently. From what I understand from the Rosicrucians, there's a whole legion of Lucifers, of Luciferian angels. And that's when Lucifer was the first of them. Anyway, getting off topic. Every time you see any of these little things, these tidbits that are put in movies, they're put in award shows, news programming, commercials, you're like, oh shit, there they go, they're worshiping again, they're worshiping again. I'm talking about investment banking commercials, fucking fuel, oil commercials. Now, I will say this. I do know that the elite are initiated, but just as you have a group of people who have an agenda, that same group of people might believe in the same aspects of what you believe in, but they have a completely different agenda. For instance, I believe in the occult. It's not just a matter of fact of belief, it's actual fucking real. I know it's real because I have been possessed by the Spirit of Truth. I have channeled the Spirit of Truth. My friend channeled him right after that. And I know for a fact it wasn't fake. It was real. It was real as fuck. And it was the most beautiful fucking thing I've ever experienced. Okay? So I participate in the occult now. I practice the occult. I live the occult. But my agenda is not the same as the elite. The reptilians who actually exist or existed or exist, they practice the occult. This is magic we're talking about with a K at the end. Okay? They practice the occult. But they have a different agenda. They have a mental slavery, the slavery of the human race. This planet that we live on moves at a very slow vibration rate, and I've been told by the great Thoth that this is a slave planet due to the energy, the vibration of the planet. It has been under slave control for a long time by the reptilian elite. Now, with that being said, I'm getting off subject again, but I kept on dabbling, and then it hit me. I started reading and listening to what the Bible was actually telling me. I started learning about stuff that's not in the Bible, but characters from the Bible who participated in the cult ritual. Just about any member of just about any name of the Bible who you want to say is real or false or fake, they all participated in the occult. Probably one of the greatest, if you really believe that Jesus Christ was real, I've been told he wasn't, but I believe that Issa was real and he wasn't crucified. This was the greatest magician of human DNA of all time. I believe Issa was real, and that Yeshua, Issa, whatever you want to call him, I believe he was the greatest magician of all time. He was real, and he was not crucified. Now, that sounds crazy to people who are not in the occult. This sounds crazy to people who are Christians and been raised up on it. It would have sounded crazy as fuck to me 5-6 years ago. But I know it's true. With that being said, there's been saviors in the world not this world, but other worlds, other dimensions, who died for many, many beautiful reasons, I guess. From what I was told, it has happened, but not on this dimension, and it was happening again as we were being told about it on another dimension. Um, Moses, his real name was Thulamos. He was not Hebrew. He was actually Egyptian. The story comes from a Sumerian and Babylonian story of a baby that was pushed down a river. They took that story and they integrated it with the story of Moses. His real name is Thulamos. Moses is a title. Moses is just another title. It's like a anointed one, the chosen one. Thulamos was considered the chosen one. He was a devout follower of the Atlantean, Thoth the Atlantean. He was a devout follower of Thoth the Egyptian. Now, he was not Egyptian, but he fled to Egypt, but on a different plane. The same spot that it's at, but on a different dimension, apparently. And he was giving Egyptians knowledge. He didn't live on this plane ever. He never has been a part of this dimension, but he has visited, and he has given us knowledge and wisdom and understanding and magic. He's given us everything. As my good friend J.A. say, he is the consciousness coach. He's been doing it for a very, very, very long time. Now, Thulamos had a good idea. He wanted to free a bunch of Egyptian slaves who were called Hebrews. So he took them with him, and he became drunk on the power that he was getting. And the whole Torah is filled with a lot of symbolism, a lot of Jewish Kabbalah, which is beautiful. Jewish Kabbalah goes hand in hand with Christian mysticism, Buddhist mysticism, the Kabbalic. I mean, it's not just a Jewish thing. This is something that the Greeks practiced, that the Rosicrucians practiced in Europe. This is something that the Romans practiced, that the Egyptians practiced, that the Ethiopians practiced. Enoch. I mean, Enoch was an Ethiopian. He wasn't Jewish, Hebrew. Abraham was Sumerian. He wasn't Hebrew. He was Abraham of Ur of the Chaldeans. He was a Chaldean royalty. But you're not told that. You're never told that. Anyway, when I started learning that all these patriarchs of the Hebrew Bible were practicing the occult, they were practicing magic. Every time in the Bible you see the word God, you might as well replace it with another God. Because they took every aspect, the Vatican and the Judaic Council, whatever you want to call them, the Sanhedrin, and they controlled everything. They took everything out. One of the reasons why Solomon, who I have a very deep connection with, and Thoth has told me the reason why. Well, he didn't tell me, actually. He told, I channeled him, and a buddy of mine told me this, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. Anyway, I have a deep connection with Solomon, apparently. But the whole story of Solomon, and this information was given to me by Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus. The story of Solomon is a very beautiful story about a man who took what his father had taught him and turned it up a notch. Hammurabi was the king of Tyre, Lebanon, cedar trees and gold. Really, really close to David and Solomon. Good friends with him. He taught and he taught and he taught Solomon more and more and more. Hammurabi would be the father of the Masonic society, essentially. Um, but he gave Solomon so much with the occult. I mean, in every aspect. Not only that, but what I'm getting, I'm sorry, what I'm getting at is at the end of the books of like Kings and the Book of Kings and all that stuff. You got Kings and Chronicles. It talks about Solomon turning away from God and from the Hebrew God Yahweh, and giving his time and building altars to idols for women and all this stuff. This stuff was added by the Judaic controlled church. This is pre-Catholicism now. Now we all know the Vatican has a very strong hand in everything we see, but this is before them. You know, this is where the Catholics got it from. So the Judaic religious controlled environment added this stuff in here about Solomon, you know, turning from God and all this other junk. If you read and it doesn't make any sense because you got to understand Solomon wrote lots and lots and lots of shit, and it says it in Chronicles and Kings that he wrote 1,200 songs and 16, 1,800, 2,000 fucking books and shit like that we don't get to see or hear about. But you gotta understand, you know, it skips a whole fucking bunch of decades of his life. And if you read Ecclesiastes, written by Solomon, he's an older, much wiser man. And he's not boasting about women. He's actually telling you that women can cause a man to do this and a man can do this. He's talking about a lot of things. He really sounds depressed in it, you know. Sounds like he's lived his life, and what does he have else to live for? He's had all the riches and all this other stuff. It contradicts what Judges and Chronicles says about him at the very end. What I'm getting at is disinformation. Disinformation has been a part of this world since the beginning of time. I mean, since the beginning of this world's time. We don't get all the great stories of Enki and Enlil. But just recently, there was a Italian man, I can't remember his name, Morios or something like that, something, who was hired by the Vatican. He's a translator to translate original Hebrew documents, and Hebrew documents of Genesis and everything. In the documents, he found where they talked about Enki and Enlil, and Anu, King Anu. These are the Anunnaki, the Almighty. This is where you get all your little information about God and this and that. This is who they're talking about. Enki is the the Anunnaki version of what they tell you Lucifer is. He's beautiful. He's wonderful. Now, what they tell you Lucifer was actually an angelic being. This is a legion of angels, but he is he's also, you know, reprimanded as the one that snuck off and told Noah, but his name wasn't Noah, it was Ashurbanipal, to hey, Enlil and Anu about to blow the fucking world away because of all the mixing with the human women and the human men mixing with the Anunnaki women. You need to take these genetic codes for your DNA and for the animals on this planet and reboot after the flood. Okay? He's also the father of man. We were created in his image, physically. Now, we're not as big as he was, of course, but it was him who created us. You'll never hear that Sunday morning, will you? Disinformation. Disinformation is just everywhere. And it was this type of stuff that led me to realize, man, there's just more to everything. When you see that pyramid and that all-seeing eye, It's about who the person throwing it up is. If you are a demonic piece of shit that moves on slow, low vibration, and you even hold that shit up, if you hold that up, then that's what that represents. You represent that pyramid and all seeing eye represents your father, your God, which is Satan, but not that Satan. We are Satan. See, that negative side of our mind that speaks and tells you to do something bad, that's the devil. And that positive side of your mind that says, no, don't do that shit. That's fucked up. Well, that's the God. Okay? That's the fucking cosmic battle between good and evil. That's where it all takes place, in the mind. And it starts in the fucking mind. They won't fucking tell you that shit. That's why Christ says in John 10:34, behold, is it not written in your law, I said that you are gods? Quoting Psalm 82:6, where Yahweh, which was probably Anu or Enlil or Enki or some fucking body, said, hey, you are gods, sons of the Most High. If your objective in life is to give back, to love your neighbor as thyself, then you know what that pyramid and all seeing eye means? The positive side of God. Because the creator as a whole, he's both. I'm sorry to fucking burst your bubble if you don't like it, but he's the devil and he's God. Everything is a smaller fucking level of a bigger thing. History repeats itself. The mind of the creator is a bigger piece of the mind of ours. Our spiritual, etheric, astral body is how we are made in the creator's image. In Father, Mother, God's image. The masculine and feminine energy. That's how we are made. The man is the knowledge. The woman is wisdom. And together those two begat understanding. It's the tree of life. It's the Kabbalic tree of life. It's Keter on top, Hakma and Ban on the sides. Together those create the Tiferet, the Christ, the Messiah, the chosen one, the compassion. And then it just bridges out and bridges out. It's the tree of life. It branches all over the fucking place. And it's the most beautiful thing. That pyramid in all seeing eye is whatever your agenda is. Remember that. I'm almost at 30 minutes and I didn't want to make it too long. But it's just something that bothers me. Disinformation. When I put in YouTube and these people are calling Lucifer the devil, this pisses me the fuck off. It's not what it is. It's a title. Moses is a title. The anointed one. Christ is a title. The chosen one. Lucifer is a title. The light bringer. Lucifer. The spirit of truth and Lucifer is the same thing. So Yeshua and Lucifer are the same fucking thing. And to me, that's the most beautiful shit I've ever fucking heard in my life. Remember duality. As above, so below. As within, so without. Masculine and feminine. Light and dark. Up and down. Big and small. White and black. This is Amon El Ramada. And Hell Thoth.